Hey, what's going on, you guys? Welcome back to iTrack, one of the wokest reaction channels on YouTube, but I'll let you call it. Today, it's a pretty special day today. I'm dropping the 30th episode of my Creepy TikToks series, and I'm about to roll out a whole new series called Karen's Corner. I figured we all could use a good laugh. So I'm going to roll out like a top 10 wildest Karen moments type of deal so we all can have a good laugh. In the midst of us kind of meditating on all like the heavy TikToks I put out like the past 30 episodes. That'll probably have its own playlist. And we'll call that Karen's Corner. So yeah, stay on the lookout for that. If you haven't already, go ahead and spam that like button for me. Hit that subscribe button, join the iTrack fam. Without any further ado, let's go ahead and jump into it.
Orsini family. Roth means red in German, and the Orsini means red bear, little red bears. That's what Orsini means. The Grey Pope is Pepe Orsini. He trumps the black, he trumps the white Pope.
The Grey Pope is even
Pope.
higher than the black and the white Pope.
The Orsini is the Maxima family. They are the maximum family. They are on top. And somehow they've trumped the Colonna and the Farnese, which I know, without any doubt, through all my studies, that they are the three most powerful Illuminati families.
What about Rothschild and Rockefeller?
Well, they are Orsini. They just changed their name. Rockefeller were Rothschilds. Rothschilds were Orsini. Orsini were a family which have their lines in Babylon and Egypt. They tell you that. You read their biographies. They'll tell you that. We go back to Nimrod. They tell you that. The Rothschilds say that. We go back to Nimrod.
Almost feels like when you jump into something that deep, it's kind of like who, what, where, when, and why. But yeah, he's definitely spilling some tea for sure.
Through the Orsini, so Rockefeller, Rothschild, Orsini, and then you go back to the Persian and Egyptian dynasties.
So this guy at the top of evil predicts all the world wars, right? This Albert Pike guy, and that freaked me the fuck out.
Yeah.
But we're not taught about this. Then the more I read, the more I realized, magic is real, but it used to be called occult sciences. And apparently a human is a germ flying through billions of invisible impulses that crisscross it. So if you have one drink of alcohol, that'll lead to it'll get worse.
Yeah.
Because you open that portal.
Yeah.
And these people, the Queen Elizabeth does not learn the science we learned about amphibians and shit. You know what they actually learn?
What's that?
If you're depressed, your diurnal bioelectromagnetic pump, your heart, it weakens so you get sick faster. If you're depressed, you catch more colds.
No, you don't.
Total population of the Amazon that exceeded 20 million people.
What?
Yes, 20 million. This is the latest evidence from the Amazon. And then you ask yourself, how did they feed 20 million people in the Amazon? Because it's a fact, rainforest soils are poor. The land is largely unfertile and you can't grow stuff on it for very long. So how did they feed all these people? The answer was, they invented a soil. It's called terra preta. It's a man-made soil. It's thousands of years old. It's full of microbes.
From what I gather, they figured out a lot more than how to grow plants.
Found in adjoining soil. It's based around biochar. And you can take a handful of 8,000-year-old terra preta and you can add it to barren soil, and that soil will instantly become fertile. It's highly sought after in the Amazon, and it explains how they fed these people. There was science in the Amazon.
How did they create this?
John F. Kennedy brother, he was in a car accident, back in the 70s. He drove a car into a lake. He was intoxicated, but he had a passenger in the car. A lady, she died. He called his family. I just drove him to the lake. Mary died. What should I do? They say, come home. Don't call the authorities or nothing. He went home. Now, all this public records, you can Google it. Everybody thought that they called him home so he could sleep the alcohol off. That's one of the reasons why they did that. But the main reasons is when he got to the house, they started moving all his assets over into a trust. So what happened was he ended up beating the murder charge, because he wasn't drunk. They couldn't prove he was drunk. But the biggest thing that they was trying to protect is the family still sued the brother and they won. But why they couldn't get nothing?
Because in the trust.
Everything he owns inside of a trust.
Let's talk about the duck plan first.
Now you're going to the very extreme.
I'm going to the extreme and then I'm going to bring it back.
Okay.
Yeah. What is the duck plant?
And it's an orchid. It grows in the swamps there, Honduras, Nicaragua area. And as I took it and experienced it, it's nature's version of chemotherapy. It attacks the mucus of the body. So for about 8 hours, man, it's going and attacking this mucus. It's purging it out of your body, and you are on your knees. But if you're chasing it with water, you're just pouring out, white mucus out of your body for 7, 8 hours.
When was your first experience with the duck plant?
I've only done it once.
Okay, so
I was only bold enough to do it once, man. And my friends would come around and check on me. They would just hear a loud scream, "No, get out, I'm good,"
I'm good. I'm good.
Because you're just purging, like turned white from the beginning, then it went to green, then it went to brown.
Yeah,
because we don't think, on the end of that, esophagus from the mouth is your colon, your anus.
They created something called the robo-rat. That was the first biohybrid. So a biohybrid is when you mix animal and a machine. And people freaked out. They were like, you cannot put brain chips in rats and make them move through a maze by a remote control, which is what they were doing. They now have pigeons that are mixed animal and machine.
What?
They created something called, there's a moth. So there's a Mandica sexta moth. That's what it's called. It's a large moth. And scientists put brain chips into the larva so that when it cocooned and became a flying moth, it had the chip built into its system, making it easier to integrate.
Don't that sound like something Elon would be into? I don't think she mentioned who was actually doing that, but it sounds like something Elon would be into.
And they could fly the moth around the lab. And that was a huge step. And this is now 4 years ago that I was interviewing these scientists.
I'm talking about like just in front of everybody like that.
Whistleblower has come forward to tell consumers about the ground beef a lot of us buy at the supermarket. Is it what we think it is?
Gerald Zernstein grinds his own hamburger beef.
It better be.
Why? Because this former USDA scientist, now whistleblower, knows that 70% of the ground beef we buy at the supermarket contains something he calls pink slime. Beef trimmings that were once used only in dog food and cooking oil, now sprayed with ammonia to make them safe to eat, and then added to most ground beef as a...
I've heard enough. I've heard enough.
Cheaper filler.
It's not fresh ground beef.
Zernstein and his fellow USDA scientist Carl Custer both warned against using what the industry calls lean, finely textured beef.
Someone named LeVar, and he has locked himself out of a phone that could potentially have a lot of money, like multi-millions of dollars. In this case, I need to extract memory from the phone, try to find where his swipe password is stored, and then get access to the wallet, and then see if there's money on it.
This potentially could be millions of dollars on here because I bought the Bitcoin back in 2013. I spent about a few thousand, I want to say. It was just, so volatile, you just don't know what the price was. I just couldn't remember. 7 years goes by and then the whole Bitcoin craze hit.
Oh, look at that. This is the phone.
That is the phone.
Has potentially millions of dollars, right?
Let's go.
Let's go hack it. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Yes.
Done.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Vibrated.
I know his stomach is tight.
Okay. All right, you can have the honors of unlocking your phone. Okay. This is it. This is the money shot. How much is it?
What does it say?
0.003.
What is that?
$105 that corresponds to.
No.
So we track the sun off the pyramid, and when you come up on summer solstice, you will find this pattern of light that is every year on June 21st. You will have this same pattern at 12 o'clock.
And they would
noon.
see that there live.
Well,
right?
not only see it, they would be collecting this light and returning it back to the apex as the power source of the city of the ancient time.
Were you aware that the Chinese were building ghost cities? And what I mean by ghost cities is not literal ghosts, but they're building these huge cities. No one lives there. Cities for 30, 40 million people, and no one is there. They just built it. A lot of people will be like, well, you know, the socialists got to keep up their economy. People don't understand why they're doing this. I do. Beijing is right by the sea. Shanghai is right by the sea. The sea levels are going to rise. These people got to move. So they're already preparing to move inland for where the sea levels rise during the age of Aquarius, where these idiots in America and in Europe want to carbon tax people instead of building mega cities in Omaha, mega cities in Denver. Now you understand what Denver airports do.
Video evidence of a UFO just surfaced, and it's hard to dispute that it's not alien technology. The video was captured in Bolivia, and the fact that two craft are ascending and descending at will prove it's not a balloon. But let's take it one step further for the skeptics. There's no flight surfaces or means of propulsion, so it's obviously not a drone. And according to the United States government, they don't know of any craft in their inventory or foreign inventory that can perform like this. At least 119 UFOs have crashed on Earth, and UFO expert Dr. Stephen Greer will be releasing definitive evidence at a press release conference on June 12th. Greer teamed up with government UFO whistleblowers, and they claim to have undeniable evidence that UFOs have crashed on Earth. And on top of that, you guys, they say that they have 5 terabytes of evidence showing that the government has secret black projects that are working on these crafts right now.
It's like, spill the tea already. Like, we want to know.
Make sure to like and follow to get updates on this story. Did you know an alien is buried in Texas? Yup, a real Martian from outer space was buried in Aurora, Texas, and the amount of evidence supporting this claim is astonishing. The UFO crashed into a windmill in 1897. There were so many witnesses, so the United States government had to deploy a man named T.J. Weems, and he noted that the remains of the pilot were not human. And according to reports at the time, the craft was made of unknown metals. Oh, and here's the kicker. The UFO crashed 6 years before we had airplanes.
Here, the citric acid rabbit hole continues. Dang. So we now know that the citric acid that's used by this company, as well as 99% of all products, is in fact black mold. I want to show you some of the trickery involved with how this product is sold. 99% of the time, you will see this advertised as a lemon product. Then we learn, thanks to our government's biotech website, that 99% of citric acid that's used for manufacturing is the mutant strain disease black mold, Aspergillus niger. For those who think this black mold is healthy, they tell us plain as day that this strain of black mold is harmful to humans. So then what's the problem with this picture? In my opinion, it's false advertisement. They keep showing all these lemons all over the place. They make you think that it's some kind of lemon product. So if this is in fact a lemon product, let's see how many lemons it would take just to produce a pound of this product. Approximately 5 to 6% of lemon is citric acid, and we get approximately 3 grams of citric acid per lemon. So the average price for a lemon is about 50 cents. Let's say they get it on wholesale, they get them for a quarter. So there's about 453 grams in a pound.
I ain't gonna lie, I like the breakdown because things like this have to be kind of talked about.
At 3 grams of citric acid per lemon divided by 1 pound, which is 453 grams, it would take 151 lemons to make 1 pound of citric acid. So let's say you got these lemons for 25 cents. It would cost $37.75 to make a pound of citric acid out of lemons. Yet here they only charge $14.99 for almost 2 pounds. Yet these companies and manufacturers plaster lemons all over their products. And if we need any more confirmation of something shady going on here, we see who started this back in 1919. They produce more than 2 million tons of this a year. It is one of the most common food additives in the world. Here, a reviewer casually exposes this as not being from a natural source, but from toxic black mold. And the more researching I do, the more that I find these other vitamins are coming from the same source, such as vitamin C. Even zinc supplements are coming from Aspergillus niger. So however you spin it, this product is being advertised as something it's not.
Have you ever seen this movie, Veronica? It was pretty scary, but did you know that this is based on a true story? And I'm going to warn you now, this is going to be 2 parts, so if you don't like part 2s, just keep scrolling. The alleged true story is based on Estefania Gutierrez Lazaro. In 1991, Estefania was a very well-rounded girl. She was loved by her family, and she was just all around good. She was living with her family in the outskirts of Madrid and going to school and just living a very normal life. One of Estefania's close friends had a boyfriend that tragically passed away in a motorcycle accident, and her friend wanted to contact his spirit. In an attempt to do so, they got their hands on a Ouija board and brought it to school. During a school day, they found a secluded spot where they could try to use the Ouija board in order to access the spirit realm. There was a nun that caught them doing this. The nun apparently broke the Ouija board in half, and her friends claimed to have seen a white smoke come from the Ouija board that entered into Estefania's nose and mouth. It was just shortly after this that Estefania's attitude changed completely. Estefania had never had any mental health issues to speak of. Her family hadn't noticed anyway, but soon she started acting out of sorts.
As soon as that white powder went up her nose.
Aggressive with her family, she would even bark at her younger siblings. Estefania also started suffering from seizures and hallucinations. She told her family that she would see dark figures walking through the house all night that would torment her. She also claimed that these spirits or these figures were evil. Estefania struggled with these things for over 6 months. Her parents did try to take her to several hospitals and specialists, but they were unable to find anything wrong with Estefania. The doctors could absolutely tell that there was something visibly wrong, like there was something going on, but they couldn't quite pinpoint what it was. Sadly, 6 months after the Ouija board incident, Estefania passed away at a hospital. Estefania's parents were absolutely devastated by her passing. They loved their daughter very much. So they decided to lock up her room and keep everything as is. Her mother would go in on occasion and clean up, but they just left her room the way she had left it. But not long after Estefania's passing, they started noticing very strange things happening in the house. Part 2 will be done as soon as I'm done filming it, but it should be linked down in the comments. So go to part 2.
Heavy. Super heavy. Well, that's the episode for today, guys. I want to give another special shout out to all the day ones. The iTrack channel, we're growing. We're definitely growing. If you haven't already, go ahead and spam the like button for me. Just hit that subscribe button for me. And I appreciate you for stopping by. Let me know what you guys think about today's episode. Pretty wild if you ask me. All right, guys. Until the next one.